Welcome to the Luxury Rental Blueprint Podcast, your ultimate guide to creating stunning vacation and corporate rental spaces. Join us as we unveil the secrets to boosting revenue and elevating guest experiences through high-quality design and luxurious amenities. Whether you're a seasoned property investor or just starting out, on this podcast, we aim to provide you with the tools and insights you need to build your own five-star rental empire. Happy Wednesday, Luxury Rental Blueprint listeners. Today we have Steph Weber from the Weber Co. and co-host of her own podcast, hosted by the Webers. With 10 years of experience working as a brand and marketing strategist, Steph brings a whole new energy to the world of STRs and boutique hotels. Steph lives in Indianapolis with her husband, Colin, and her 2 boys. She manages her own STR as well as co-hosts a 6-figure portfolio of short-term rentals. And most recently, her and her husband have dove in with 2 other couples, to create a micro resort there in their community. I've been really intrigued listening to the things that you've been able to talk about with the Indianapolis market. So I'm really excited to learn and hear all that you have to share with us today.
Yay, Bree. That's a great intro. Thanks. I'm so stoked to be here. Yeah, it's going to be amazing.
Awesome. Well, why don't you tell us a little bit about how you found yourself in the Indianapolis market, investing in that space in short-term rentals?
Sure. So my husband and I grew up in Indianapolis. We are born and raised Hoosiers. We moved out of state for a couple of years and then had a baby. And I was like, we need help from family. So we moved back. So I was 8 months pregnant and we decided that that was a great time to get into the world of short-term rentals as we had a toddler and I was 8 months pregnant and we were like, yeah, let's do it now. So that was April of 2023. And we went on property tours here. We first looked in Brown County, which is this like beautiful state park area, national park. I think it's a state park. I can't remember. I think it's a state park. But it's a beautiful area here in Indiana. And we were like, we would love to be there. And, it can be a vacation home. And we were hoping we would be able to use a vacation home loan and, whole 9 yards. Well, Brown County has the most insane short-term rental regulations. And we could not find anything. And I was like, I've made my mind up that we are buying a short-term rental and we're doing it. So I guess we'll change markets and do something different here. And Indianapolis, honestly, for us just made sense. Like we know the market. I love the local businesses here. We like to support them and sharing them with our guests. And obviously, Indianapolis is such an awesome city for events. We have so many events that happen all the time here. And that's only continuing to grow. So, we were kind of like, listen, it's a growing city. It's obviously we're continuing to get these huge sporting event contracts. So that's only going to help us in our short-term rentals. And we're here and we're local. So, for it being our first, we felt like, if something happens, we can go, we can deal with it, whatever, we can be boots on the ground as needed. So that's why we picked Indy. Obviously, also with having a newborn, we were like, maybe that's a good idea. And it was. So Indy is where we have started our journey. And we also co-host here as well. And again, I think one of the things that our clients love about us is that we are here. We are local. We do understand how the local businesses work and what the community is like. And we can get our guests immersed in that. And so we provide a different experience than your traditionally large property management companies that have no one here and know nothing about Indianapolis. And I think our clients really love that. So that's that. And we started that business at the same time that we had our newborn. It was crazy. 2023 was wild. 10 out of 10 don't maybe recommend this for everybody, but it was our journey and it's fine. And then in that time, we also found out about this cabin project, which I'm sure we'll dive into in this conversation a little bit, but I know we're really talking about Indianapolis today. So that's that short intro for you.
That is awesome. That does sound like a wild journey, but sometimes those make the best stories. And honestly, sometimes you just have to dive right in, right? Because, there's a lot of hesitation and concerns with diving into investing. So sometimes it's better just to jump in your whole body. Forget a toe. Forget dipping a toe.
Dive in head first.
Yeah, really though. So what are some of the ways that, because you mentioned just kind of pulling it together with some of the local businesses and stuff, what are some of the ways that you pull your local businesses into your properties?
Yep. Oh, good question, Brie. Okay, so I'm going to share a few different examples. I'm going to start first with our booked and stay pages. So instead of creating like your classic Canva guidebook or like using Touch Stay, which is an amazing product, but we created our own booked and stay pages. So as soon as a guest books with us, they get a link to our booked page, which has a slew of recommendations of things to do here in the city, restaurants to eat at, wineries, breweries, and everything in between. And everything on these lists are local businesses. We don't have any chains that we recommend on there. So they're all local businesses, all of our local favorites, honestly. So that's kind of step number one. Step number two, we have guests that come to our properties for bachelorette parties, bachelor parties, family celebrations, and anything in between. So we'll have guests reach out to us because this is actually on our website and say like, hey, it looks like you help people plan bachelorette parties or you help us like coordinate things or whatever. And so we will help with the coordination of that. And again, we're connecting them to our local businesses and entrepreneurs that we've built relationships and connections with that know what we do and are happy to help support that. Another example of this is we have Taylor Swift coming to town in November, and it's like for Last the Eras concert or whatever. Listen, I am like, sometimes I'm so far behind in, I don't know, like pop culture, but here we are. Anyway, I was just chatting this morning with an incredible local party. She's a party planner, but she does these amazing backdrops. And so she's going to do really cool photo areas at each of our properties that we're co-hosting for Taylor Swift weekend. And again, it's like we wouldn't be able to do that if we were this huge property management company because it just wouldn't make sense, but we're partnering with her on it. So we're both going to, support one another in that. And our guests will have a really cool experience at the end of it. Like they're coming in for Taylor Swift and it's just going to be awesome. So, those are a few of the things that we do to incorporate that and instill that. And again, like anytime that we are leaving a gift basket for a guest or doing small things like that or leaving small gifts, we source them from local businesses if we can.
I love that. I think when people are coming for vacation and they're coming to experience, a town or just an area in general, it's nice to show them. I mean, I don't know what I want to go. Where's the best pizza? What's the best Chinese food? Like those are things that, everybody wants to know, but you're giving them so much more than just that. I really love that. Now, this is kind of a sidebar conversation because this maybe doesn't necessarily have to do with the design and amenities of your properties, but I am super curious because just knowing that you are a branding expert and a marketing expert, I'm assuming you guys are going to play this partner that you guys are bringing in to do the backdrops. You guys are going to play on some social media and share social media and
for sure. Yes, that's definitely part of it for sure. So in our conversation this morning, we were chatting about doing like a little table with a picture frame that says like, hey, please use this backdrop, like welcome. We'll make it all Taylor Swift themed, right? But yes, we absolutely will. We will share the setup of all of this. We'll share exactly what we're doing and we'll use Taylor Swift music and it'll be a full vibe. So yes, we will definitely be doing that. And obviously encouraging our guests to share too, right? So we want that like user generated content. We want them to use our hashtag. We want them to tag us and share that they stayed at a hosted by the Webbers property during Taylor Swift weekend and that we went the extra mile to get this set up and make it really special for them. And that's something in our hosting business. I've kind of talked a lot about this term thoughtful hospitality. And for, the Hoosier State is very much known for like, oh, winter hospitality. And that is a thing. But for us, it's more about just like the thoughtful things that we're doing that our guests don't expect, those unexpected things that guests write about in their reviews. And this does go into design a little bit because when we think about design, we think about design holistically from like, what are they using in the kitchen? Like what, oh my gosh, the word is escaping me, like the frying pans and like the kitchen utensils, to like hand soaps, to like, what are we putting in the bathrooms and the did you forget it baskets? Because all of our guests use all of that stuff. And you know what, Brie, like aside from any of our spaces, we have great amenities. We have game tables. We have, all these different things. The thing that we get the most comments on in our reviews are the little things that we did and left for them that they were like, they had tampons in the bathroom and that was amazing. And it's like the small little things that so many people aren't doing that we are, that separates us and that shines in our reviews and our guests love it. In addition to that, we get guests who will be like, we were so prepared for the trip, and like we were able to plan where we wanted to go and get reservations ahead of time, etc. So again, it's just like being thoughtful and thinking about the guest experience and the guest journey from beginning to end.
I love that. I love that thought process. What would you say you allocate for, restocking those baskets and just, I guess, turnovers in general? Do you allocate a specific budget? Because I've heard a lot of people push back a little bit on the like forget me not baskets, right? Like or whatever it is that you want to call them. But those baskets that have all of those little things that like, hey, did you forget deodorant? Did you forget this or that? I have heard people push back thinking it's a waste of money. I agree with you. I don't think it's a waste of money. I think it speaks volumes to the level of attention that you're putting into your property. But do you have a specific, especially when you're bringing co-host clients and you're advising them, this is something that we're going to do with your property, do you advise them on a specific budget that you allocate for turnovers in that sense?
Yeah. So we work with every client on that. And every client obviously has their own like specific wants, desires, and needs. But what I would tell you is that our clients are so, listen, Steph, we trust you, and whatever you feel like is important, we're game for that. Like we also want to make sure that we're being hospitable hosts and that we're paying attention to what our guests are really looking for. So do I have a specific number for you, Bree? I mean, I would tell you maybe $50 a month, but honestly, that's probably way far above and beyond what we're actually spending. It's maybe more like $25 a month per property. Now, of course, that may be different in June and July when we feel like we're restocking all the time. But typically, we're trying to buy in bulk and feel like, okay, we saved a little bit by buying in bulk, and now we won't have to buy these supplies again for another like 3 months. Again, totally dependent upon the season, right? That obviously changes during our winter season here because it's not busy and is heightened April through beginning of August, let's say.
It's a long season.
Yeah. It's great. And again, we're an events-based market, right? Largely events and then corporate travel. And people do come here for vacation, believe it or not. Indianapolis is like it's a good meeting spot. It's a central meeting spot, which I think is the other thing. Like during the holiday season, we see people come here who are like, this is a great spot for our families to meet because we're all over the place. And so Indianapolis is central for us. So again, those are times that we're trying to make sure that we're really on top of it. The houses are well stocked, but we work with our cleaning team on all of the restocking and so forth too. But yeah, from a budget perspective, maybe $25 a month, depending on the property and depending on the number of guests that we sleep and so forth too.
Okay, that would make sense. So when you say it's an events-based market, why don't you describe a little bit about that, or just kind of give us some insight into the Indianapolis market in general? What kind of guests are coming here? What are they doing when they get there? What is it that they're booking for primarily?
Absolutely. So this year in 2024, we had a major event in our city every month starting in February. So we host Gen Con. We have the Indianapolis 500, which every single weekend in the month of May, there is something going on in and around the Indianapolis 500. We hosted the NBA championships. This coming year, we are going to have what one of my clients has told me is the equivalent of the Super Bowl, but for WWE. It's like their version of the Super Bowl. We'll be hosting that in February. Our city just signed a contract with the WNBA to host their final events. Forgive me, I don't do sports, but I just know bits and pieces of this from like what I'm reading, right? In my knowledge. The Indy 500, that's our jam. We go to that. But we also are a huge convention city. So I mentioned Gen Con is one of those. We host the FFA every year, Future Farmers of America, for anyone who's like, what's the FFA? We host that every year. We obviously have our state fair that happens, and that's downtown Indy. So that's a 2-week period of time in August. So people are here. But yeah, I mean, that's just a handful of, the eclipse was this year. Now that doesn't happen every year. I think we all wish it did because that was an insane weekend. It was amazing. But yeah, so when you're thinking about Indianapolis, different than your beach markets, different than your mountain markets, because people are not coming here just in the summertime or just in the wintertime or, whatever, just for like the scenery or for the nature. That's not why people are coming to Indianapolis. They're usually coming for a reason. We also obviously are a city where there are many different businesses doing business. And so people come in from out of town and out of state to do business meetings, corporate, etc., all the things. And so we get like last minute booking requests all the time for those corporate or business travelers or those business trips. So that's a little bit about what is happening in our market. And again, usually every month we can count on there being some kind of large event. January is usually our slowest month, but even then we have a big cheer competition that happens. So, it all works out.
I had a feeling that was going to happen.
It's fine. It's totally cool.
Okay. As long as you can be quiet, okay, buddy? Let me find this time. 15. Okay. Okay. I'll edit that little part out, but that's okay. So
I agree.
So why don't you dive into how it is that you recommend designing these properties for multiple different guest avatars? Because that's a lot of different types of guests that you're seeing. So you're seeing corporate, you're seeing vacationers, you're seeing families, but then you're also seeing the adventure seeking, kind of probably groups and things like that. So how do you work that in?
Yeah, that's such a great question, Bree. So here's a couple of things that I've learned about the Indianapolis market, different again than your vacation markets. Many of the homes here in Indianapolis, while they may be well designed, they may have beautiful furniture. They may have, like your fresh white clean linens. They may look like nice and light and vibrant. The homes that are standing out in this market have your hot tubs, have your game tables, have your game rooms, like very similar to a vacation market, but different than a vacation market. Those houses here are few and far between, honestly. And so, yes, you are taking a look at the guest avatar. Absolutely. You're also taking a look at property size and also where your property is located. So if your property is located north of the city, you may be attracting more families who are attending events up in Westfield, which is where Grand Sports Park is, and those families who also want to have access to downtown amenities. So you're designing accordingly based on the fact that you're probably going to attract more families, and you're near a university there too. You're near Butler. So this is like our Butler-Tarkington neighborhood. So we see families coming in for events at Butler. We see families coming in for the sports park. We see families coming in to vacation or visit other relatives or whatever it may be. So that's happening there. However, if your home is located near the near Lucas Oil Stadium or near the convention center, that you're probably going to be one of the first properties booked for any conventions that are coming into town. You're probably going to be first booked for those corporate travelers. And so you can design accordingly kind of based on that. But again, I always come back, Bree, to the amenities and to making sure that I can check those boxes on Airbnb. So I'm going to give you some data and numbers around this. We have a property that we co-host in the Butler-Tarkington neighborhood. So this is a little bit north of the city. It's about a 15 or so minute drive to the center of downtown Indianapolis. A little bit more north side, but it's right off of Butler's campus. This home is 4-bed, 4-bath, and it has 2 king suites, and one bedroom has 3 twin beds, and another bedroom has 2 fulls. So it's an amazing space for multiple families. It's an amazing space. We've hosted a handful of bachelor and bachelorette parties there. Most of the time, though, it's like multiple families that are staying in this property because of the bed-to-bath ratio. So that's like one thing that obviously design-wise we're not really changing. But in this home, she had a loft, and the loft was a kids' play area. And while it was cute, it was like filled, it had some toys, and there was a little lounge couch, and that was fine. What we were finding, though, is that none of our guests were really commenting on that. None of our guests were like, oh, and our kids absolutely loved the loft, and they loved hanging out here. So I started to dig into like, who are we actually attracting to this property and who's coming into town? Okay, well, it's families with kids who are at college at Butler. So what is it that they're really looking for? So instead, we took that kids play area out, and we put in a mini game table. It's a 3-in-1 game table. And then we also put in an arcade game. Now, we just did this free, but we've been co-hosting on this property since May of 2023. In September 2023, she was at 45% occupancy. Literally, as soon as I changed these photos, we got one booking for 5 nights, another booking for 3 nights, and another booking for 3 nights, putting her at 60% occupancy for the month of September. And it's obviously very correlated to the changes that we made in that one room. So we didn't redesign anything major. We weren't putting murals up. We weren't putting wallpaper on. We literally took furniture out and we put in a game table and an arcade game. And that was it. And that made a huge difference in her occupancy and in the guest experience too, right? Because now guests are showing up and they're like, oh, we actually have something to do with this property as well, aside from just, oh, here's this cool kids, lounge or hangout area. But now they had an entertainment center too. So it just added value for the families that are actually coming and staying at that property.
And what was the specific research that you did to determine that game table was going to draw more bookings?
So we have another property in this exact same area. And I actually designed, the property that I was just chatting about, we did not design that one, but we do have another one in the area that sleeps 8. It's 3-bed, 2.5 baths, sleeps 8, and it has a basement. And when we designed that, I was like, okay, perfect area for a game room because I'm not putting anybody in the basement to sleep. That would, from a safety perspective, probably not make sense. And so we were like, let's keep our, max guest count at 8, and then let's put a game room in the basement. That also happened because we have another property that we co-host that has a full basement and full game room. So we put an air hockey table and 2 arcade games down in this basement of another one in the same area. Their AirDNA revenue projections for an annual for one full year was $40,000. Now again, we don't have a ton of competition in the area, but in 8 months we were at $55K gross revenue on this property. So in 8 months, we were already $15,000 over what AirDNA was saying that the property could do from a potential perspective. And that largely is because of the experience that we've cultivated. So again, we have the arcade game space. We also have a little movie room in this basement as well. So we've created just a cool hangout space for people to gather. And that's been super attractive for guests. So I kind of shared this data with this property owner, and she was obviously down for it. She was like, yeah, whatever we can do to increase occupancy and increase our ADR and, our bookings as a whole, yeah, we're in. So I had seen that proof, and I knew that to be true. Again, I have a background in the fashion industry, so I worked in that industry for a decade. And what I learned in that was Indianapolis is usually the last to be on trend. So whatever's happening on the coast, 2 to 3 years, you'll see it in Indianapolis. So we're always 2 to 3 years behind what's happening on the coast. And honestly, the same is true for short-term rentals. So what's been happening in all these vacation markets is now starting to come here to Indianapolis. And those that are doing it and are adapting it early are reaping the benefits of it.
Hey, investors and property owners, listen up. I've got something you need to hear. If you've ever thought about maximizing your rental income, then you need to check out Nova Havens. They're partnering with insurance and relocation companies to provide premium furnished homes for displaced families, traveling medical professionals, and corporate clients. This means consistent, high-quality tenants for you and seriously competitive rates. If you've got a property that could be a perfect fit, head over to novahavens.com and click the Submit Property tab to join their growing database. And if you're looking to grow your real estate portfolio or need some guidance to really scale your business, Will Dotson, co-founder of Nova Havens, is offering one-on-one coaching to help you navigate the journey. Will's been there, done that, and now wants to help others succeed. Follow him on Instagram @WillInvested for more tips, insights, and success stories. Nova Havens. Let's grow, profit, and provide new beginnings together. Visit novahavens.com today. It's kind of nice because you can let these coastal markets be more of the guinea pigs to see what's going to work and what's not going to work and what's going to stand the test of time, because you do have a couple of years to prepare and then implement those things that are going to be more successful. So that's kind of a nice benefit to the market.
For sure. Be our testers, and then we'll see how it goes here.
Yes, exactly. Which amenities outside of game rooms do you feel are worthy investments in this particular market, Indianapolis?
I think design and the aesthetic as a whole is important. So for all of our properties that we're designing, we obviously identify who the guest avatar is. We think about the location and who's actually going to be booking the properties backed by data. And then we typically pick some sort of brand. We identify what the brand is going to be and then identify what the design and the theme is going to be based on that. So one of the properties that we did that is about 30 minutes outside the city, actually, and near a lake here in Indianapolis. It's a well-known reservoir, and so they're very booked in the summer seasons, obviously. But even being 30 minutes outside the city, I was like, okay, I know that this is going to be attractive for large groups because it was a 5-bedroom, 4-bath, 4.5 baths, 4,500 square foot house. I mean, it's huge. And so we had lots of opportunity to make it a destination in and of itself. And so, of course, we did our game room there, our pool table. We had the, oh my gosh, projector screen. I'm like, what are the words that are escaping my brain? The projector screen. We did a popcorn bar. We did a milkshake bar there as well. So some of, again, going back to thoughtful hospitality, like you see your milkshake bars happening at your beach markets. I'm like, why should we not do that in Indianapolis? But this home we called Victory Lane. That's its brand. And everything around this home is Indy 500, Indianapolis Motor Speedway themed. And so we have 3 different murals that are all iconic Indy 500 scenes throughout the home. All of the decor on the walls, super iconic Indy 500 scenes as well. And then we actually my dad had a bunch of old Indy 500 programs. And so we put those throughout the property too, to really create like the immersive experience of the Indy 500 and the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and how significant that is for our city. I actually had somebody when we were sharing this be like, are you worried you're not going to get booked outside of Memorial Day weekend? And I was like, you don't know this market. Like, you don't understand how iconic IndyCar and in that event is to our city, not just in the month of May, but people want to visit this home and book this home specifically because of its decor. And that's super cool. So anyway, we incorporate all of that into the design as we're thinking about it. And so you asked about other amenities specifically. And again, aesthetics. Our murals do really well here. Wallpaper, of course, like if you're adding some of those, they're not quote unquote amenities, but they're certainly the design aesthetic. And then the thoughtful things like the popcorn bar, like the milkshake bar, or the snack bar, if you're able to do that. Every single one of our properties has a coffee bar. We do, and like a fully stocked coffee bar, not just like, here's your bag of coffee, best of luck. We do the creamer, the sugar, the stir sticks, the to-go coffee cups. We started to have the to-go coffee cups even with our branded logo on them because, again, if you're thinking about your corporate traveler, they're going to the convention center with our branded logo, and now they're having a conversation about the Airbnb where they're staying and who they're staying with. So it's like those small little things that I may never be able to track, but I know make a difference because of the brand that we're building. So anyway, that was a really long-winded answer for you, but hopefully it gives you some insights. Oh, Bree, you're muted.
Oh, sorry about that. It totally does give me all of the insight that I'm looking for. And I'm really curious, are your competitors also stepping it up and using wallpaper and murals and, really showcasing the drawing factors of the market in their design as well?
I would say maybe like starting to. I still think that we have short-term rental owners who are investing here that aren't yet seeing the value until they see the numbers and the difference in that. And so I created an entire training around investing in short-term rentals here in Indianapolis to be able to show this data and be able to show it. Because I think that that's an important piece of you're not just investing in a house where people are going to crash and stay. Like Indianapolis is becoming more and more of a destination for people every year. So you have to design accordingly if you're going to stay competitive. So for right now, I would say that we probably have some of the most competitive properties and most competitive designs and amenities and features in this market and in this neighborhood. The other thing, and this is an interesting observation that I just walked through. I'm not sure if you're familiar with STRIQ. Have you heard of them? Okay, so they're amazing. And STRIQ is AirDNA, but a million times better than them. And so from like a property evaluation perspective and a market evaluation perspective, they're doing amazing things. And they just came out with a new tool that we were testing the other day. And we were looking at our property that we own. And they were like, Steph, like, look at what your property's doing versus these other 3 properties in a very similar area. And what do all 3 of them have in common? They have twilight photos. Like they have nighttime photos of their outdoor areas. And I'm like, how did I not put this together beforehand until your tool just showed me that, right? So, again, here in Indianapolis, it's like you can do very small, subtle things right now to stand out and to be competitive in this market, such as having nighttime photos and having a well-designed backyard, especially during our peak seasons, which are really April through beginning of August. People want to be outside as much as they can. So when you have a fire pit, when you have your egg chairs in the backyard, if you have a hot tub, that's like super rare here. So again, it's just like some of them are small, some of them are large purchases, but you don't have to go that far to make a difference here in Indianapolis.
And are there any must-haves that you have, like, hey, every one of the properties that we co-host, they're going to have these items? Is it, I don't know if there's specific requirements that your co-host company has, or if it's just like, hey, these are the things that I feel like are must-haves in this market to really make it successful outside of maybe what we've already talked about.
Yeah, so I would say this is maybe just kind of like our barriers for our co-hosting business, Bree, but we will not co-host on properties that are smaller than 3 bedrooms. Some of that is a revenue perspective, obviously, for us, and where's our time best spent, but also what can provide the best experience. So in terms of items that we require that all our properties have a coffee bar. You have to do that. You have to have a fully stocked coffee bar. We'll do it. We'll set it up for you, but our owners do pay for that. We do recommend that all of our owners do the "Did you forget it" baskets. And inside of those baskets, we are putting items like eye drops. I don't know, for those of you that wear contacts, this happens to me all the time, but my eyes get so dry and I don't always have my refreshed teardrops. And so we actually put those in our "Did you forget it" baskets. We do like the little individually wrapped toothbrushes and toothpaste. We do feminine products. We do cotton rounds. We do makeup wipes. We do like deodorant wipes, actually. So anything that's like individually wrapped that can be thrown away and discarded, we do things like that. So, and again, like we work with our owners on that. It's a strong recommendation. Beyond that, I would say we don't really have requirements in terms of any specific amenities or specific items. Most of it is suggestion, and now we have data also to back our suggestions.
I love that you really looked into what's going to be the most profitable property type, and you determined single family residence, 3-bedroom minimum, and then you're sticking to that. How do you gently turn down those that want to work with your company who don't have that 3-bedroom property? What would you recommend to just co-hosts that are out there that want to stick to these guidelines for their business, but sometimes it's a little hard to say no?
It can be hard to say no, especially when you're starting your business. But I guess maybe this is my background of being an entrepreneur for a number of years before we started this as a second business, and having some hard learning lessons in that, and having to be like, yeah, I'm done with this contract. I can no longer work with you as a client. So we're really specific around our inquiry process. And so if we have an inquiry that comes through and they tell us that they have a 2-bedroom home, I simply reach out to them and say, like, thank you so much. Unfortunately, we're probably not the best fit to be a co-host. I'm happy to discuss self-management with you if that's something that you're looking to do. And so we'll help property owners actually get set up for self-management from a tech perspective. So we'll put price labs in place, help them get their listing lives, X, Y, and Z that needs to happen in order to make that their reality and not be totally overwhelmed by it all. So we do that. But again, Bree, this comes back to like my boundaries, and what I have learned is really important to communicate. So all of our clients go through an onboarding process as well. And in that, we're very clear to say, actually in the contracts that you sign, like, these are the hours that we're available, and here's how you can reach out to me. And unless it's an emergent issue, we're not going to respond to you on the weekends, because we have to have some boundaries in place. And all of our owners are great, and they understand that, and they know that I am also a mom of two young little ones, and that we are a boutique co-hosting company. So we don't have 24/7 support, which is why we are really on top of it and proactive from a maintenance perspective and changing the lock batteries and all of that. So again, like, we get to be able to do these things and provide a higher level of service without feeling like we're always on all the time, because we have great clients, because we put boundaries in place and systems in place that allow us to build the business that we want to build. And again, that's come from some hard learning lessons. And we have had to fire a co-hosting client who was not in alignment with us, and that sucked and was hard. But again, everything I've learned as a business owner is that everything you experience like that is designed to teach you something so that you can learn from it and you can do things differently the next time. So setting yourself up for success and not just being eager to get the client is an important piece of you not being completely stressed out in your business running you, but you running your business as the CEO you are.
I love that because I'm so passionate about that. I think it's very easy to hear a lot of professionals in this industry speaking about hustle, hustle, hustle. And I'm totally cool with that. I am a hustler. There are so many different things that I'm constantly doing all at one time. But at the end of the day, I do all of these things as my career because I'm trying to make a living for me and I'm trying to make a living for my family. And it just doesn't sit with me to push hard and do all of these things. And then at the end of the day, I don't even have time to spend with my kids, or I can't go to soccer practice. I have to miss a soccer game, things of that nature. So I always prioritize my family as well. So I really resonate with how you're able to set those boundaries. And I really respect that. That's really awesome.
Yeah. Our clients are great. And we as a family went to Disney in August this year. We also went in January, and I emailed all of our clients and said, I will be out of office. We will be at Disney as a family. If you need anything, please reach out to Christine, who is our guest experience representative. And the responses I get from our clients are like, that's so great. Have so much fun. They're not panicked about their property. They're not panicked about being taken care of or their guests being taken care of because they know that we've got their back. And I know that that's not always the case in some property management relationships. And if you're listening to this and you're like, yeah, that's not the case, find a good co-host or find someone who can support you so that you feel good about that relationship and whoever is responsible for your asset and your guests. But yeah, it's an important part of building a business around the lifestyle that you're trying to cultivate, for sure. Agree.
I love that. So you hinted at the fact that you're creating this micro resort and events venue. Tell us about that and how it came to be. Where is it located again?
So it is in Jamestown, Kentucky. We're in Indianapolis, so we're about 4-ish hours away from the property itself. How it came to be is such a it's just crazy, honestly. It was just meant to be. So when we started all of this, we started our co-hosting business in April 2023, when we were also buying our first property, our first short-term rental, and also getting ready to have our second baby. I shared on Instagram what our vision was, what we were trying to cultivate with this business. I was like, here are the short-term rental properties we want to have, but our big dream is to have this piece of land where we can have multiple units or Airstreams or glamping tents, I don't know, something. And it can be a space for retreats and events, and maybe it's by the water. It's definitely a nature somewhere because we love the outdoors. It's our vibe. Okay, so this is in April of 2023. In July, I get a text from my esthetician here in Indianapolis, and she's like, Steph, just in case you want to jump in with both feet, literally her exact words, because she's now known me for 6 or 7 years and knows how I operate. And it was a Facebook post from another one of her clients that said, hey, we have this land in Jamestown, Kentucky, which is right by Lake Cumberland. It attracts about 4 million people per year to the lake. And then the property is on the river. So it's riverfront, and it's one of the best places for trout fishing. I know nothing about fishing. So I was like, okay, cool, whatever. So I reached out to her because I was like, this is the big dream landing in our lap. I have no idea how we're going to make it happen. The purchase price is $2.1 million for these 10 cabins that they were going to build. I was like, I don't know what is going to happen here. Okay. So I reach out and I tell her who I am and introduce myself and just share a little bit about my vision. And she's like, let's go to lunch. So we do. And I started sharing about the opportunity on Facebook and on Instagram because I knew if we were going to make it happen, we were going to need partners. So I had maybe 50 different conversations with people who were expressing interest. And one of them was my CPA and her husband, who are both entrepreneurs. One of them was a couple that were strangers until this opportunity presented itself in a mastermind group that we were in, or in a mentorship group. And then the other couple, when we went down to visit the cabin development and see the land and, talk about the vision, the builder and his fiance at the time, they're now married, they were like, yeah, we want to be in on this too, actually. We love it so much. We love the land. This has such significant meaning to us, but we don't want to manage it. None of the other partners wanted to manage. So I was like, cool, we do. So we'll collect our management fee and somehow figure out the cash to be an equity partner as well. I don't know what that's going to look like, but we'll figure it out. And let's do it. So we started piecing it together, Bree, and we found a bank to finance the deal. We came up with our portion of the down payment by taking a HELOC on our primary residence and a personal loan. And my husband was like, "You're insane." I was like, "Listen, this is going to pay off." And it like doesn't, there's no world where it doesn't make sense. So yeah, we may feel really financially strapped here for a minute, but it's not going to be that way forever. So it's fine. And we signed on December 31st, 2023. And as of now, we have 6 cabins that are live, 4 structures. 4 structures because one is a triplex, but it's been good. And our guests have loved it and have loved their experience. And it's been a very fulfilling, somewhat stressful, and exciting project to bring to life.
That sounds super exciting. Congratulations. To have this kind of fall into your lap, because a lot of people, I feel like, maybe not a lot, but maybe a lot. A lot of people are going to have something like this fall in their lap, and they're just going to be like, I don't know what to do. And then they're going to, just toss it out, or maybe just look past it or sit on it for a long time. And that you didn't do that. You really put it out there and you said, hey, this is something that I want to do. This is a little bit of a dream that I have. And who wants to help me make it come to fruition? And you had people say, me, and now you're doing it. So how many total? You said 10 total?
So there will be technically 11 units, 8 cabins, technically, because one's a triplex. So that's where we get our 11 units that are rentable. We'll be able to sleep a total of 66 guests. You could like squeeze one more in there if you really wanted to, but we'll be able to sleep 66 total. And so that's why, again, it's like a great space for retreats and events. We will have a venue for that as well. Pickleball court, playground for kids. And then before we decided to do this, the owners of the land and builders of the cabins sold off one of the lots to someone else. And he came back to us and was like, hi, you guys are building this development. I don't want this piece of land that I bought anymore. We were like, okay, we'll buy it back from you, obviously. So we purchased that piece of land back from him, and we're going to turn that into an arcade game center and barrel saunas and cold plunges. So it will be just like another amenity center for our guests, which will be super cool.
I love that. I mean, my brain is going in so many directions because there's so many different amenities that you can now cater to large groups of people, especially if you are kind of marketing it as like, hey, family reunions, like you say, just like events, weddings, parties, things of that nature. I think that would be so fun. So are you, will there be like a central location for like gatherings and things like that? I mean, how does that look in terms of the way that you're designing that out?
Yeah, we do. We have our event venue, and so it will be a really cool, flexible space that you can host your family reunions at. We will do live events where we're doing like live music and picnics for Memorial Day weekend, July 4th weekend, Labor Day weekend, because those are all huge. So we have opportunity to be able to do that. Our arcade game center will also be a kind of common gathering space as well. So again, Bree, this is one of those things that, everyone's like, well, what's the plan? And how are you going to market this? And da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, listen, like this is going to grow and evolve with us. I've never run an event venue before, but I have hosted events and I know what that looks like. So we'll figure it out as we go. I'm not worried about it. And I'm definitely also not afraid to say, I don't know the answers, but I will find someone who can help me and who can guide me. And that's what you have to do as an entrepreneur. So I don't know what it's all going to look like yet, but I mean, we have our ideas in mind. We have our concepts in mind, and the vision grows every day. So, what's cool about all of our partners is that they're so down to make this just like the coolest destination for families, for events, for weddings ever. And they're like, whatever we need to do, we'll figure it out. And we also know like I went to the boutique hotel con recently, and many people were like, well, are you guys, building this to then sell it? And I'm like, heck no, I'm building this to like run it and make it this amazing, wonderful space for my family to be able to enjoy, So that's just kind of where we're at. But all of the partners are in for that vision too. And that's really cool. So, again, just like in any business, we will have our learning lessons. We'll have our hiccups along the way, and we'll work through it and figure it out.
Awesome. Are you documenting this journey? I know that you're so successful with social media stuff. Are you documenting? Is there someplace we can kind of follow along with you?
Yeah. So it's so funny that you're asking this question, because right before we hopped on this, I am creating a little mini series on my Instagram account. The Weber Co. is the best place to come and check this out. Called The Making of a Micro Resort. And so it has multiple different parts of like How did we find this opportunity? How did the partnership come to be? How did we finance the deal? What are all the things that you didn't see? Like the washing machine was not connected when we started it in our very first cabin at our very first install. It was like the best team bonding activity when there was like a flood all over our brand new cabin from the washing machine that was not connected correctly. And that was totally our fault. And then we like had to go to dinner with our builder and be like, we flooded the cabin. He was like, it's fine, no biggie. But we're like, it's a big deal. But yeah, so we have all of that happening. So yes, you can come and hang out at the Weber Co. is the best place. You can check out Cabins on the Cumberland as well. That's what the project is called. And so we would love for you to come enjoy that too.
That's awesome. I can't wait. I want to follow along. I think this is such a cool idea. And I love I'm huge on community. So the fact that this is a space that you're going to bring people together and just encourage community in so many different ways seems like a very exciting journey. So congratulations on that.
Thank you. I totally imagine it will be a space where short-term rental retreats and events are hosted at some point in time. So I'm looking forward to being able to have that space to be able to do that.
Fun. Well, I am so appreciative of you taking time out of your day to share with us about the indie market. I'm super appreciative to anybody that's listening and or watching. Of course, if you're watching, you're able to see all of these photos that are popping up on our screen as Steph's talking about, her super cool STR that's like Indy 500 themed and these game rooms and things like that. And of course, the micro resort that she's creating. So if you have been watching on YouTube, you're able to kind of check that out as well. And why don't you just share with us where we can find you outside of your IG? Is there any other spaces that you'd like to share or websites, anything like that?
Yeah, I would definitely say hang out with me there. That's the best spot. Theweberco.com. You can go and check out our past projects and what we do from a branding, design, and marketing perspective to support short-term rental hosts and boutique hotel owners. You can hang out with us at Hosted by the Webers as well. That's our co-hosting business. And like I said, we do offer self-management setup too. So lots of different spaces, all in this crazy world of short-term rentals.
Love it. Love it. Thank you so much again. We're just really grateful to have you. So thanks.
Thanks, Bree.